Okay. And I'm going to start off today with a quick just overview of the program in Japanese so that the ones who are watching this later can hear that. So,
sure.
Okay, so let me share my screen real quick. Okay. じゃあ、はじめに、日本語でちょっとイーストサセックスコレッジについて、留学先、短期留学先についてお話しします。場所はイギリスのルイス市。それはイギリスの南の方なんですけども、時期は夏休みと春休みになります。でも夏休みはスケジューリングのせいでちょっと短いですね。だいたい2週間になると思います。春休みの場合は2週間から4週間できます。留学できます。2週間の場合は2単位もらうことができると思いますけども、4週間での場合は 4単位もらうことができます。イーストサセックスコレッジの場合行くと、ホームステイになります。で、費用は40万程度って書いてありますけれども、それは飛行機代も入ってるんですので、コロナの後にどうなるかちょっと分かりませんので、それはよく分かりませんけど、ちょっと上がるかなと思います。もし今年度の春休みに、参加したいなら、申し込みの締め切りは10月7日になります。それは木曜日です。この、留学フェアやるんですけども、留学フェアのすぐ後になります。All right, so now let me go ahead and I'll stop my sharing and I'm going to introduce Mark. Mark Allen is the director of the program at East Sussex College, where our students will go. And so, Mark, I'd like if you could do about half of your talk, and then we'll take a break and ask questions, and then the other half. Okay. Oh, you're on mute. Okay, good.
Sorry, yeah. Okay, so very nice to meet you all. And I'm really missing Japan. I love coming to Japan. I love the people, the food, the culture, and of course your fantastic trains. I'm missing your trains quite a lot, actually. So what I thought I would do is show you a presentation where you can see some pictures and I can talk about the college a little bit. A short film showing some students on a kind of typical day. Then we can stop, have a break, talk, ask questions. And then if we've got time, I've got a virtual tour. So we can actually go and wander around a campus. So you can just see what a British college looks like from the inside. Do I have permission to share? Yes, looks like I do. Great. Okay, so this is where we are. We're down the bottom part of the UK. So that's the warmest part of the UK because it's down in the south. It takes about 1 hour to get from our campuses up to London, so it's quite close to London. And the nearest city to us is Brighton, which I'll show you some pictures of Brighton later on. And because we're down in the south, it means we're also very close to Europe. So you can get a coach all the way to Paris or Amsterdam or Bruges in Brussels by going under the sea on the tunnel we call the Channel. So we're in very, very small towns. So these are very typically English. So you can see some pictures. This one on the left, this is, where's the little pointer? This is Lewis. And the one on the right is Eastbourne. So we've been teaching international students for over 30 years. And so we have a lot of experience with Japan, and a lot of my team have a lot of experience with Japan. And we're a dedicated international department. So when you come to us, you are a normal member of the college. You get one of these, a photo ID, which allows you into the buildings, but you are managed by a dedicated international team. And I'm very proud of the fact that we've been the #1 college for teaching English for 9 years. So we've got some really exciting teachers, very dynamic teachers. And we've also won awards for having the best international student care. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that later on. I do want to talk about the virus and COVID so that you know, at the moment, we have about 75% of UK adults have had their first vaccination, and about 55% have had their second vaccination. So vaccination levels are very high, but of course, you know, the virus keeps changing. So we have a new type of virus that's come from India. So we continue to keep, I'm sure the same as at your university, we keep social distance between staff and students, lots of protection in the college, and everybody is testing themselves every 2 days to make sure they're safe to come back into college. So a few pictures so you can see what it's like. This is the town of Hastings. So you can see these are really small places. Hastings is on the sea, and it's a very historic town. Pretty much every schoolboy and schoolgirl in the UK knows the date of the Battle of Hastings, 1066. We lost. The French won, but we lost. But interestingly, I don't speak French. Well, I do speak French, but that's not my national language. So even though the French came and beat the English, after a few decades, they began to prefer to speak English rather than their own language, which is interesting. And this is inside the Hastings campus, which is our newest building. So this is only about 6 years old. And each floor is a different curriculum area. And a British college is different from a Japanese college, because inside a British college are many different types of colleges. So we are teaching vocational students. So we're teaching sport and business and travel and tourism, hospitality, catering, engineering, but we're also teaching academic students before they go to university. And we're also teaching university courses as well. So a British college is a kind of big institution. This is a picture of Lewis with its castle. The castle is almost 1,000 years old. So very, very historic town again. And Lewis is the beginnings of democracy in the UK. This is when there was a famous battle, the Battle of Lewis, and it was the first time that the King's army lost, and that began a conversation between the people and the King to say, let's all follow the same rules. So it's kind of the beginning of democracy. These towns are small, but the people there are very familiar seeing international students. So when you come, the local people won't be surprised to see you. They're very used to seeing students from China, Japan, Italy, Brazil, Ecuador, etc. You'll be very welcomed by the local community. This is our nearest city. Sorry, let me just stop my phone pinging away. Brighton. This is a great city to go and visit. It's quite small. Well, everywhere is small compared to cities in Japan. It's got 2 universities, an art college, lots of very nice, small, interesting shops for fashion and also for chocolate. If you like chocolate, Brighton is heaven. There's 3 fabulous chocolate shops. And also big shopping malls. That's what I put in the center of that picture. That's a shopping mall with chain shops. Also many international food shops and restaurants. So you will probably be surprised how popular Japanese food is in the UK. It's now available in every supermarket. And in Brighton, you can get a bento box, you can eat gyoza, noodles, sushi, even sashimi now in Brighton. So UK people see Japanese food as very healthy and very tasty. So it's quite common. And the better supermarkets will have a sushi counter that is making the sushi fresh. That's nice. Don't eat the other stuff in the packets because that isn't nice. And now I'm going to play a short film. What we did was we filmed, I think, about 5 students as they went through a day. So you can see them walking to college, some classrooms, what they do in the afternoon, and then they go and have some fun in Brighton in the evening. So they're quite large campuses. We have about 5,500 full-time students, but we also have a lot of part-time students. So each campus has sport facilities, libraries. It's quite similar to what you would expect at your university. And even though you're not coming to us for a long time, you will still have a personal tutor. So this is the person that you would go to if you had any questions during your time with us. So that's the lady in the middle. Her name is Jo, and she's the personal tutor for all our international students. So if you want to know, where to buy nori, she's the person who can probably help you. Or if you're finding your class a bit too difficult, then again, that's the first person you can go to and talk to her. The most important part of your stay in another country is where you live. That is more important than the friends you make and the classroom experience you have, because if you don't feel happy where you live, then everything else doesn't matter. So we put a lot of effort into making sure you're happy where you live. So we have some very experienced accommodation officers who will match you with a local host family. And before you come, we will ask you, do you want to live with children, pets, non-smoking, those kinds of things? Do you have any allergies? Is there any food you shouldn't eat? And we check our host families every year. We also get inspected by the government and by the British Council, and they will also inspect our host families. So we don't just use anybody. There's a very careful process of checking a host family before we allow a student to go and stay there. But the host family experience is a really important part of your stay, because they will welcome you into their home, and that allows you to see a bit of English culture from the inside. And you know, they'll take you out if they're going out at the weekend to things. And because our towns, our campuses because our towns, sorry, are so small, you can walk from the host family to the college. You don't need to get a train or a bus. They're small towns, so that's a good thing. We also have a dormitory, the halls of residence for students when they're 18 on our Lewis campus. So that's also another option for you. We will make sure that when you're with us, you know about everything that's happening in the college and in the local town, so that you can really make the most of the opportunity to be in the UK. So these pictures show some of the things that students can do. We love it if a student shares their culture. So on the left, this is a student from Brazil playing a little samba on his guitar. We've had Japanese students do a tea ceremony for their class, which in my office in Lewis, I have some boxes of, I don't know what they are actually, but they look like Japanese tea ceremony equipment. We also had students showing us a dance from their class. Again, because of where we are, there are coach trips available many weekends to go to local towns or to some of the famous places that you can get to in a day. So Oxford, Cambridge, London, you can all get there in a day. But also, depending on your university, you can go to Paris, to Amsterdam and Brussels as well. And then during the week, there are sport activities, there's an orchestra, choir, yoga, film clubs, and a very active student union as well that welcomes international students to come in. So again, I showed you that photograph of Jo, the personal tutor. She will make sure that you know what's happening in the college that week. Do you want to go to the film, the student union party, that kind of thing. And the program that you'll be on is called English Language Plus. And this is 21 hours a week of English, and you'll be in classes with other nationalities. Usually, our students, we have a lot of students from Europe, from China, Korea, Japan, and then the other side of the world from Brazil, Ecuador, Argentina. We don't have many from the Middle East and Africa, maybe just one or two. So at the moment, yesterday, I was observing a class and there were Japanese, French, Italian, German, Moroccan, Chinese, and Korean in the class. The program allows students to come any Monday. So it's different from your university degree. It's a rolling program. So as we go through the year, the different nationalities change. And as I said, the teaching is very, very active. So the class size is normally about 11 or 12. And the teachers do a lot of activities to get you to use the language they're teaching with each other. And just briefly, we also have international students coming on longer programs where their aim is to go to a British university. So we have quite a lot of different courses, academic and vocational students with other international students. And I know you can't read all those words, but that's just to give you an idea of the different subjects that we are teaching at the college. So it's a very big range of subjects: art, performing arts, creative arts, sports, science, maths, engineering, a big, big range. Okay, I'm going to end that. Maybe now would be a time to stop and have some questions, and then in the second half I'll show some videos.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so if you are online and you have a question, please turn on your camera when you're asking your question, if possible. The people in the lounge, okay, are you ready, Aoi? You want to ask a question?
Yeah, okay. I have a question. How many Japanese students do you have?
It depends on the time of year, so it's not a very easy question to answer because our students are coming and going all the time. But I would say that there's always some Japanese students, so you would never be the only Japanese student. So it's maybe from, I would say the minimum might be about 8%, and the maximum might be, sometimes in the summer, we have a big group coming, so maybe that might get up to 20%. Usually, European students are 50–60% of the class. But it also depends on your level, because before you come, we will send you an online language test to know which group we need to put you into. So it could be that the group you're in has fewer Japanese students or a few more Japanese students. So yeah, it's not a very easy, it's a good question, but I can't give you a very simple answer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. One thing Mark just brought up was that they have many levels. So that's a really good thing. You won't be in a class that's too hard for you, and you won't be in one that's not challenging you enough. So that is a really good point. Go ahead, from the lounge, Karen.
In spring, how is the weather? How is the weather on temperature in UK?
That's another very good question. So the sort of joke answer is to say that sometimes we have 4 seasons in one day. And you know that the UK, we have this reputation that we're always talking about the weather. That is partly because it does change a lot. It does depend what time you come, but your spring is like our summer, usually. So when I come in sort of April, May, it's usually sunny, might be some rain, but it's nice and warm, but it's not sweaty. It's not too bad. That's like a normal British summer. So if we have a temperature of 30 degrees, everybody's going, wow, amazing, amazing. It's normally like your spring. And in the winter, now it's unusual to have very cold winters. And I think, you know, we're all seeing the impact of global warming. When I was a boy, we had snow in the winters. Now that is very, very unusual down here in the south. So winters, yeah, we might get down to 0 degrees, but not for many days. Yeah.
What about February and March? That's when our students will come.
So February and March could be the end of the winter or the beginning of the spring. So yeah, you'd want to bring a warm coat and some gloves, maybe a hat, a woolly hat, something like that. Those seasons can be a bit windy, but March this year actually was quite mild, quite a lot of rain. But as I say, you know, typical British weather is that it might be rainy in the morning and sunny in the afternoon, and then the wind comes up in the evening.
Yeah.
It's quite changeable, but because of the Gulf Stream, that current of warm air, even though we're quite high on the world in terms of our latitude, it's quite mild because of that. And we don't have extreme weather. We don't have typhoons, tornadoes. It's kind of fairly boring weather, really. Nothing that exciting.
Boring weather is good, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Any others? Okay, go ahead.
How far from the airport to the college?
Yeah. So that you can now. Well, at the moment there are not many flights, but normally you can get flights into London Gatwick and into London Heathrow. So obviously at the moment we don't know which airport you will arrive in. If you went into London Gatwick, that's about 45 minutes. That's actually very close. If you went into London Heathrow, that's about 90 minutes, an hour and a half. And we are receiving students all the time. So my team will arrange with your university, are we sending up a coach to collect you? Are we sending up a taxi to collect you? But that is what we do all the time. So you don't need to worry about that.
That's good. All right, good question.
Yeah, very good questions and nice English as well.
Yeah. Anything else from the lounge? Anything else? Everybody's asked all your questions so far?
Can I ask?
Yes, please, go ahead.
How many classes can I take per day?
So our classes are 90 minutes each, so an hour and a half. And normally what you would have is at least 3 hours a day in the morning. So an hour and a half, a break, an hour and a half. But on some days, on 2 days, you will also have 3 hours in the afternoons. So some days you will have 6 hours a day. Some days you will have 3 hours a day. And that might, when those hours are, depends on what class level you are and what option classes you've chosen.
So either either 2 classes or 4 classes in a day. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
of 90 minutes. Yeah. So I think I'll get this to work. It's not quite so big, but you'll be able to see it. So this is the short 2-minute video, and it's showing some students as they get up, walk to college, what they do, and then the rest of the day. So it just gives you a little flavour, a taste of the towns and the college. with that, I'll give you a little taste of the towns and the campus a little bit, and you can see some of the curriculum programs there. So you saw dance and music. There's a big wide range. Now, just for a couple of minutes, what I also wanted to do was try and show you on our website, and you're welcome to look at this afterwards. We have some virtual tours. So you go onto the eastsussex.ac.uk website and look for 360-degree tours. So if I dive in here, just to give you a little taste of what it actually looks like inside the college. This is in the Lewis campus. Wait for it to load. So it's kind of Google Maps for the college, if you like. So you can look on the college. So you can go onto this and just zoom around. So I'll just go into a couple of areas because I know we don't have long. So here's an example of some of our vocational areas. So we have students learning complementary therapy and beauty therapy. And in these salons, they will use real people to work on. So you can go there and you have to pay a little bit of money and you can have a massage, or you can go into the hair salon and they will cut your hair for you. So we want our vocational students to actually learn to work on real people.
Interesting.
Let's dive into the art design studio just to give a little taste. We are very, very good at art and design. We win a lot of prizes. So this is inside art and design, where they're doing fine art, painting, photography, graphics, sculpture, fashion. So you can see, can I make that bigger? Whoops. Over here, we can see some fashion costumes. We can see some sculpture work. Graphic design work as well. We also have the more traditional subjects like you've had at your senior high school. So we have students coming to study. This is the biology lab. At your tool aspect, and we have a physics lab as well with frightening looking equipment. Maybe, Patrick, would you like me to kind of pause there for some more questions?
Yeah, well, can you show some of the common areas? Can you show those?
Yeah, sure. So this is actually a dance studio, but we use that for large performances, the choir, the orchestra, but we also use it for enrollment and big activities. If perhaps the principal wanted to talk to all the students, this is where you would go.
I see.
Conventional lecture theatre. Used for different techniques. We don't use this for English language because we want more interaction for English language.
I see.
And we have, there's Wi-Fi across the whole campus, but there are also places like this, the Learning Centre. Oops, if I can turn around. Whoops. I hope you're not getting dizzy with this. So this is an open access area. It means you can go here anytime to log on to a computer to do your emails or to do your homework or some research, perhaps for a piece of assignment you've been given.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back to where everybody's in the view, and I'll I have a couple questions as well.
Sure.
So Mark, you've been showing various like dance studios, and there's lots of different vocational kind of classes. Is there any possibility, like for these kind of students, for international students, to take any kind of class like that, or as like a substitute or like an extra class or something?
Yes, yeah, we have the longer the course is, the easier it is for us to manage that. So we have a program called International Study Year where students join the British students for most of their week. They come to the international team for at least 3 hours of English, but then the rest of the time they're in the classroom with British students, and that can be any subject. So they don't have to take the exams. They're just in the classroom as a normal student, just joining in with the activities. So normally that is a minimum of 3 to 4 months. But actually, if your students are coming for a shorter period and you have a student interested in something, then I would just talk to that head of department and say, is it possible? Can you have somebody for 2 weeks, 4 weeks? So we had a Japanese student 2 years ago who joined complementary therapy just for 2 weeks. So yeah, if you are interested, ask, and I will see if it's possible. It will depend on what's going on in the classroom. Obviously, if they're coming right up to exam time, you don't want to sit in a class with people doing exam revision.
No.
And it's also, is there space in the class? But you know, we have hundreds of different classes, so we can usually find something. So my college really believes in the value of having international students coming to us and our students going to other countries, because where we live down in the southeast of England, it's most people look like me. It's not a big mix of different cultures. There's a Chinese community, you know, there's different Indian communities, but not so many as big cities like Manchester, London, Birmingham. So we feel it's real value for our British students to meet somebody from a different culture. And sorry, this is a long answer, but it's the other thing is we also are very positive about trying to get integration projects going. I know we've talked to you, you're talking to one of my French teachers, but we've just agreed an integration project with our business students where they will actually be doing an assignment together. So the Japanese students and the English students will both be working on the same assignment task from different perspectives and sharing and helping each other. So those kind of possibilities are also there. We welcome that.
Are there any volunteer activities that students can sign up to do, or anything like that that you know of?
Yes, yeah, we need to be careful that we don't encourage a student to do something which they're not allowed to on their visa, because whichever visa they come in on, they will not be allowed to work. But we've had students helping with the Brighton Marathon, to help organise the Brighton Marathon, Brighton Festival. These are two really big events, helping as volunteers. There's a local church. Now that's a good link for Ibaraki University. There's a local church that's been welcoming international students for many, many years to come and just meet local people, you know, play some games, maybe have a cup of tea. So yeah, those kind of things. I must say that nobody's asked me today about English food, which possibly you're being very, very polite. Maybe that's what it is. But I would like to say something, because reputation of Japanese food is very, very high. Reputation of British food is not so high, let's be honest. But what we find is that when students come to us, they're usually surprised how good it is. So because our reputation is low, we will normally exceed your expectations.
That's good.
Which is a slightly strange thing, but also English people don't just eat English food. So we eat everybody else's food. So in my house, we would eat French, Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Italian, Thai, and that's quite normal. So, you know, what we do is, because we don't have a very strong cuisine, nowhere near as strong as Japan, we eat everybody else's food. So it's quite a mix of different types of food. And again, I said, we have experienced accommodation officers. So if you're in the host family and they're giving you food that you really don't like, but you feel uncomfortable saying to the host family, then you can talk to the accommodation officers and they will say to the host family for you. They'll say, okay, they'd like less of this and more of that.
All right. All right. And just to recap for you guys, there are a lot of opportunities for traveling around England on the weekends. Lots of things come up. It looks like even outside of England, if you wanted to go on a trip to, I saw a trip to Paris, or, you know, that might be a possibility. So that would be also exciting.
And they're quite a reasonable price. So I can't remember now, but I think the trip to Paris, which was your coach, one night in a hotel, was something like about 160, 180 pounds. That's a really good deal.
That is a good deal.
And again, because we're in the south of England, the coach would pick you up like early in the morning. It would drive along the coast and then go on a train. The train takes you under the channel, the piece of sea between us and France. And then the train takes the coach into Paris. So you're in Paris by sort of late morning of the same day.
Wow. That's convenient. Yeah. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I don't see, I mean, we're about right on time. So everybody, let's thank Mark for his time and explaining to us his program. And so everybody, good job. Thank you. All right. Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it. And I hope we can send some students to you soon. Yeah.
Yes.
I
love
love
it to see you all.
Yeah, I want to see it. Okay.
Thank you for your questions. Matane.